The big alien stood in front of the screen looking at pictures of a destroyed base. His name was Xyloth, and he was a commander in the Creventhi Empire. He had 4 eyes, and all of them were angry. 3 days ago, his soldiers stopped answering calls from the base on planet Kepler 442b. Now the pictures from space showed only broken buildings and empty grounds. "This cannot be real," Xyloth said, his voice making clicking sounds. "Who did this to my base?" Another alien in the room, a female named Velkara, moved her wings nervously. She was from a different species, the Sivathians. The human town near there was small. They only grew food. We checked. They had no soldiers, no weapons. "Then explain how 200 of my best warriors are gone," Xyloth said loudly. His anger filled the room. Far away on that same planet, a man named Jack Murphy sat on his front porch. He held a cup of coffee in his rough, work-worn hands. His hair was gray and his face had lines from years of sun and wind. He was 53 years old. For the past 5 years, he had lived on this planet, growing wheat and corn. Before that, he had been a soldier for 25 years, a captain in the Earth Defense Forces. But those days were over. He wanted peace now. His wife Lisa came outside. She was drying her hands with a cloth. "Food is ready," she said. Then she stopped and looked at him carefully. "You have that look again." "What look?" Jack asked, but he already knew what she meant. "The look when you are thinking about bad things. About the past." Jack drank some coffee. "I was thinking about the Peterson farm. I heard those Creventhi soldiers bothered them last week. Took some of their animals." Lisa sat down next to him and held his hand. "The Galactic Council said they would fix the problem." "The Council does not understand," Jack said quietly. "They think talking and making deals will work with the Creventhi. But the Creventhi are predators. They only understand strength." The next morning, Jack was fixing his fence when he saw 3 vehicles coming fast across the field. They were hover vehicles floating above the ground. They looked like military trucks, but they had no markings. Jack put down his tools and waited. His body looked relaxed, but his mind was working fast, checking everything, looking for danger. The vehicles stopped and aliens got out. They were Creventhi, big creatures with hard shells and 4 eyes. The leader was tall, taller than Jack. He had 6 soldiers with him, all carrying weapons. "Human," the leader said. His voice was harsh and he spoke the common language badly. "You are Jack Murphy?" "Yes, I am," Jack said. "You will come with us. Your town owes money to the Creventhi Empire. You will work in our mines until the debt is paid." Jack stayed calm. "This is independent colony space. You have no right to be here. You have no authority over us." The Creventhi leader made a sound like laughing, but it was more like clicking and hissing. "We have guns. That is all the authority we need." He waved his hand, and his soldiers pointed their weapons at Jack. Lisa came to the door of their house. Jack could see she was scared. He looked at her and shook his head just a little. She understood. "Stay inside. Stay safe. Last chance, human. Come with us now or we burn your house down." Jack nodded slowly and raised his hands. "Okay, but let me say goodbye to my wife first." The alien leader waved his hand like he did not care. "Be quick." Jack walked to the porch. Lisa met him at the door. Tears were running down her face. He hugged her and whispered very quietly in her ear. "Code Red. Call Henderson at the radio station. Tell him to use the old protocols." She nodded against his chest. She understood. Henderson was a former soldier too. He would know what Code Red meant. He would know what to do. Jack kissed her forehead and turned back to the Creventhi. "I am ready." They tied his hands and pushed him into one of the vehicles. As they drove away, Jack looked back at his farm, his home, the place where he had hoped to spend the rest of his life in peace. 25 years since he had worn a military uniform. 25 years since he had been Captain Jack Murphy, leader of the 3rd Special Operations Division. 25 years since he had earned the Solar Cross, the highest medal for bravery. 25 years since the siege of Titan, where almost everyone in his unit died. But he survived. The Creventhi thought they were taking a simple farmer, an old man who grew wheat. They thought he would be easy to control, easy to force into working in their minds. They had no idea who Jack Murphy really was. They had no idea what kind of man they had just taken. They had no idea that they had made the biggest mistake of their lives. Jack sat quietly in the vehicle, his hands tied, his face calm. But inside, his mind was already working, already planning, already counting the guards, memorizing the route, looking for weaknesses. The soldier inside him, the part he had tried to bury for 5 years, was waking up. And when Jack Murphy woke up, people got hurt. Not because he wanted to hurt them, but because he protected what was his, and these aliens had just threatened his home and his wife. The Creventhi had come to this planet thinking humans were weak, thinking they could take whatever they wanted. They were about to learn a very hard lesson. They were about to learn that humans did not start fights. But when someone forced them to fight, humans finished it. Every single time. The vehicle drove toward the mountains, toward the Creventhi base, toward the mines where they kept human prisoners. Jack looked out the window at the passing landscape. He knew these lands. He had explored them when he first arrived. He knew the caves, the valleys, the hidden places. The Creventhi thought they were taking him to prison. They were wrong. They were taking him exactly where he needed to be. Close to the other prisoners. Close to people who needed help. Close to people he could save. And Jack Murphy had spent 25 years learning how to save people. Even when it seemed impossible. The Creventhi prison camp was built into the side of a mountain, 50 kilometers from any human town. Jack spent his first day watching everything. He counted 30 guards. He watched when they changed shifts. He saw which doors were locked and which were not. He noticed which guards were careful and which were lazy. Old habits never really go away. The aliens had captured 73 humans from different farms and towns. Most of them were regular people. Farmers who grew food, shop owners who sold things, people who had never fought anyone in their lives. The Creventhi made them work in deep mines digging for rare metals. The work was hard and dangerous. Jack was sent to the deepest mine shaft. The worst place to work. The guards liked watching humans suffer. On his third day, a young man collapsed. His name was Danny Pierce, and he was only 19 years old. He fell down because he was too tired and too thirsty. A Creventhi guard hit him with an electric stick. "Get up, weak creature," the guard said in a mean voice. Jack stepped between them. "He needs water. He needs rest." The guard's mouth part spread wide like a smile, but it was not friendly. "And what will you do about it, old man?" "I am asking you nicely," Jack said. His voice was calm, but his eyes were hard. The guard lifted the electric stick toward Jack. What happened next was so fast that most people did not see it clearly. Jack grabbed the stick, twisted it out of the guard's hand, turned it around and pushed it into the guard's body. The alien made a noise and fell down. The other guards in the mine just stood there, too surprised to move. Jack helped Danny stand up. "Can you walk?" The boy nodded, his eyes wide with shock. "Then walk." "Everyone get out now," Jack said to all the prisoners. "They will kill us," someone whispered. "They were always going to kill us," Jack said. "I am just changing when it happens." The humans ran toward the exit of the mine. Loud alarms started making noise all through the prison. Jack picked up the guard's gun and checked it. It had 60% power left. Not much, but enough. The mine tunnel opened into a big room where the aliens sorted the metals. 20 Creventhi guards came running at the escaping humans. Jack walked out into the open space with the gun ready. "Run!" he shouted to the other people. Then he started shooting. The first 3 guards fell before they understood what was happening. The others ran to hide behind metal boxes and machines. But Jack kept moving. He never stayed in one place. He used the big machines for cover. He shot a cable that held up a crane, and a huge piece of metal fell on 2 guards. He broke a cutting machine and made it explode. In the control room, the camp commander, Vexthor, watched the security screens. He could not believe what he was seeing. "One human? Just one human is doing this?" His assistant made nervous clicking sounds. "Commander, the way he moves. I have read reports about human soldiers. This man is not a farmer. This is a trained warrior." "Then what is he?" "A killer, sir. A professional soldier." Vexthor hit the control panel with his fist. "We have 70 guards here. Stop him!" But Jack had already disappeared into the air vents. He crawled through the narrow metal tunnels with the gun on his back. These tunnels were small. Too small for the big Creventhi aliens, but Jack was human-sized. He could fit. He moved fast, knowing exactly where he was going. He dropped down into the guard sleeping area. The off-duty guards were resting. They never saw him coming. Jack destroyed their communication devices first. Then he broke into their weapon storage and took all the power cells. When more guards came running to help, they found their equipment broken and 15 of their friends unconscious. tied up with their own belts and straps. In the control room, Vexthor was losing his calm. How is one human doing this? Jack answered that question by cutting the main power to the whole facility. Everything went dark. Then Jack turned on the emergency lights one by one, making a path. The confused guards followed the lights, thinking it was a safe route. Instead, it led them into traps. Jack used their own communication sounds against them. He learned their clicking language and gave false orders, sending guards to wrong places. When the sun came up, the Creventhi camp was a disaster. 40 guards were unconscious or injured. All the weapons were gone. The power system was destroyed. And somewhere in the building, one human moved like a ghost. The guards could not catch him. They could not even find him. Vexthor made a call to the ships in space above the planet. Send help. We need more soldiers. Send gunships with weapons. For one human. The voice on the other end sounded doubtful. You do not understand, Vexthor said. He was watching another guard fall on his screen. This is not just a human. This is something much worse. The escaping humans had run into the forest. Jack had bought them time, but now he needed to get out too. He had done what he came to do. The prison was broken. The guards were scattered and confused. The humans were free. Now he just needed to disappear before the reinforcements arrived. He made his way to the armory one last time and took supplies. Food, water, medical kits, and 3 more guns. Then he slipped out through a drainage tunnel that the Creventhi did not know about. He had found it on his first day, but never told anyone. Always have an exit. That was an old rule from his military days. Outside, the morning air was cool and clean. Jack could hear the sounds of the forest. Birds singing. Wind in the trees. He started walking, following the path the prisoners had taken. He needed to find them. Make sure they were safe. Make sure they had a place to hide until help arrived. As he walked, Jack thought about what he had done. He had not wanted to fight. He had not wanted to hurt anyone. But the Creventhi had given him no choice. They had taken innocent people. They had used violence and threats. So Jack had responded the only way he knew how. With skill. With determination. With the training that had been burned into him over 25 years of military service. He was a farmer now. He wanted to be a farmer. But when farmers are threatened, when their families are in danger, when their friends are taken prisoner, farmers can become something else. They can become protectors. They can become warriors. And Jack Murphy had been one of the best warriors Earth had ever produced. The Creventhi would learn that today. The whole galaxy would learn it soon. Humans were peaceful. Humans wanted quiet lives. But humans would fight when they had to. And when humans fought, they did not give up. They did not surrender. They kept going until the job was done. Jack disappeared into the forest, following the trail of freed prisoners, ready to protect them from whatever came next. News about the prison break reached the Galactic Council fast. Commander Xyloth watched the security videos from the Creventhi base 3 times. Each time he watched, he became more worried. The human moved through trained soldiers like they were children. Every move was perfect. No wasted motion. No mistakes, just pure skill. Find out who this human is. Xyloth ordered his computer. The computer searched through every military database in known space. When the answer came up on the screen, Xyloth felt cold fear run through his body. The screen showed information about Jack Murphy. Earth Defense Forces Captain Rank, 3rd Special Operations Division. He had fought in 47 combat missions. He had won the Solar Cross, the highest medal for bravery that humans gave. He had survived the Siege of Titan. That battle was famous. 98% of his unit died there, but Jack lived. The psychological report said he was extremely dangerous when protecting others. It said he preferred not to kill, but could be very violent when necessary. His current status was listed as retired. Retired, Xyloth said the word slowly. This is what humans call retired? Ambassador Velkara read the files with growing fear. The Siege of Titan. I remember hearing about that. The Zorgothi Empire sent 10,000 soldiers to that moon. Only 300 lived to escape. They never talked about what happened. Because they were ashamed, another council member said. They were defeated by fewer than 200 humans. On planet Kepler 442b, Jack had found the escaped prisoners in a group of caves 15 kilometers from the broken prison. Lisa was there. She had convinced other people from the colony to bring food, water, and blankets. When she saw Jack, she ran to him and hugged him tight. Henderson got your message, she said. The Colonial Defense Forces are coming. But they are 3 days away, Jack nodded. He was checking the weapons he had taken. The Creventhi will not wait 3 days. They will come looking for us. What can we do? Danny asked. The young man stayed close to Jack now. He saw Jack as their protector. We do what humans do best, Jack said. We adapt. We change our plans. We survive. He gathered all the people around a simple map he drew on the cave floor with a stick. The Creventhi think about fighting in straight lines. They are strong. They have good weapons. They train for normal battles. But these caves are our home now. We know every tunnel, every chamber, every place to hide. You want to fight them here? Lisa asked quietly. I want to make them afraid, Jack corrected her. They came here thinking humans were weak. We are going to teach them the truth. For the next 2 days, Jack trained the people who wanted to help fight. Not everyone could fight. Some were too old. Some were too young. Some were too afraid. But everyone could help somehow. They set up warning systems using old mining equipment that made noise when someone got close. They made fake paths that led nowhere. They made the cave system confusing on purpose, designed to trap and frustrate anyone who did not know the way. When the Creventhi gunships arrived with 200 fresh soldiers, Commander Xyloth was on one of the ships. He looked at the caves from space, frustrated because the scanners could not see inside properly. The metals in the rocks blocked the signals. They are in there somewhere, his officer reported. But we cannot get exact locations. Then we force them out, Xyloth decided. Send soldiers inside. Find the humans. Capture them. Especially this Jack Murphy. The council wants him alive so they can question him. The Creventhi went into the caves with confidence. They were professional soldiers. They had training. They had experience. They had good equipment. They lasted 6 hours before everything fell apart. Jack had turned the caves into a nightmare for them. Ropes stretched across paths triggered rock slides. Fake walls opened to show deep holes that the aliens fell into. The humans used the darkness and their knowledge of the area to attack and then disappear. They did not kill unless they absolutely had to. But they took weapons. They broke equipment. They created constant confusion and fear. One group of 10 Creventhi soldiers walked into a large chamber. The floor suddenly gave way. It was not real floor, just cloth painted to look like stone. The soldiers fell into a pit filled with water. Not deep enough to drown, but deep enough to trap them until other aliens came to pull them out. Another group followed the sound of voices, thinking they had found the humans. Instead, they found a recording device playing human speech. While they were distracted, colonists dropped nets from above, tangling them up. Xyloth watched his casualty reports grow with frustration and a feeling he had not experienced in years. Doubt, uncertainty, fear. One human, he said quietly to himself. This should not be possible, but it was not one human anymore. Jack had awakened something in the colonists. They were not soldiers, but they were protecting their home. They were protecting their families. They fought with the desperation of people who had nothing left to lose. And they had Jack to guide them. Someone who understood war at a level most species never reached. The Creventhi tried using smoke to force the humans out, but the caves had too many tunnels, too much airflow. The smoke dispersed and did nothing. They tried using loud sound weapons, but the humans had found the deepest caves and blocked their ears with cloth. They tried sealing the entrances. But there were dozens of entrances, many too small for the big Creventhi bodies but perfect for humans. On the third day, as ships from the Colonial Defense Forces entered the star system, Xyloth made his choice. Pull back. All soldiers return to the ships. We are leaving. Commander? His officer was confused. We have more soldiers than them. Many more. Numbers do not matter when you cannot use them, Xyloth said with bitterness in his voice. The humans have taught me something important today. They fight on their terms, not ours, and on their terms, we cannot win. The Creventhi ships left orbit and jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading away from the planet. As they departed, the human colonists came out of the caves. They were tired. They were dirty. They were hungry. But they were alive, and they were free. Jack stood at the cave entrance, watching the alien ships disappear into the sky. Lisa came to stand beside him. She took his hand. Is it really over? She asked. For now, Jack said. But the word will spread. The galaxy is going to learn something important about humanity today. What will they learn? That we do not look for fights, Jack said quietly. But we always finish them. Danny came up to them carrying one of the Creventhi weapons they had captured. Mr. Murphy, what do we do with all this equipment? Keep it, Jack said. Store it safely. Hope we never need it. But have it ready if we do. Lisa looked at her husband. She saw the lines of tiredness on his face. She saw the weight of old memories in his eyes. Can you go back to being a farmer now? Jack smiled a little. I never stopped being a farmer, Lisa. I just had to remember I was something else first. A protector. And sometimes farmers have to protect their land. The other colonists gathered around them as the Colonial Defense Forces ships began landing in the valley below. There would be questions to answer, reports to file, statements to give. But right now, in this moment, the humans celebrated. They had faced an enemy that should have been too strong. They should have lost. Every logical analysis said they should have been captured or killed. But humans did not always follow logic. Humans followed their hearts. They followed their determination. They followed their absolute refusal to give up when defending their homes. And with Jack Murphy to guide them, they had turned weakness into strength. They had turned fear into courage. They had turned a certain defeat into an impossible victory. The galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council was the most intense in 100 years. Commander Xyloth stood in front of all the representatives from different alien species. His pride was hurt, but he told the truth about what happened. Behind him, holographic videos played over and over, showing Jack Murphy destroying the Creventhi operations with just his skills and determination. This changes everything we thought we knew, Ambassador Velkara said. Her wings were shaking slightly. We classified humans as a Class C species, non-aggressive, low military threat. We were wrong. But they are farmers, said Councillor Thexmar from the Drothian Sovereignty. We have watched their colonies for 15 years. They grow food. They raise animals. They build peaceful towns. This is what we have seen. That is true, Xyloth agreed. Until you threaten them, then you discover what they really are underneath. The head of the council, Elder Korvoth, raised his hand for silence. Explain your assessment, Commander. You are asking us to completely reclassify humanity. We do not do this easily. Give us your reasons. Xyloth activated his data display. I had my best analyst research human military history. What they found frightened all of us. Humans had something called World War II. Over 60 million of their own species died in that war. They created weapons that could destroy entire cities with one bomb. They fought in conditions that would kill most species in the galaxy. From deserts so hot the ground burns to Arctic cold that freezes flesh instantly, to the depths of their oceans. He brought up more data. There was something called the Vietnam conflict. A force with better technology was defeated by smaller numbers who used the land and pure determination. Then the Afghanistan wars, these lasted for decades. Powerful armies were frustrated by enemies who used unconventional tactics. Humans have been perfecting the art of asymmetric warfare for thousands of years. But they seem so peaceful now. Thexmar protested. They trade fairly with everyone. They honor their treaties. They always try to talk before fighting. Because they choose to be that way, Xyloth said, his voice heavy with meaning. Captain Jack Murphy is not unusual. He is what humans become when they must protect something. Earth's military forces have millions of trained soldiers. Every single one is trained in a philosophy that values completing the mission over personal safety. They have a phrase for it. They call it getting the job done. Velkara was looking at her own research files. I have been reviewing their culture, their entertainment. They celebrate stories of individuals who overcome impossible odds. Heroes who face entire armies alone. Warriors who never give up no matter what. They call these action movies and they watch them for fun, for relaxation. What we consider extraordinary courage, Xyloth added, they consider a normal day, a regular occurrence. Elder Korvoth was quiet for a long moment. You are saying we completely misunderstood this species. I am saying we saw what we wanted to see, Xyloth replied. Peaceful farmers who posed no threat. We never asked the right questions. Like why such a young species had already developed such advanced military technology. We never questioned why their colonies, despite having few weapons, were never attacked by pirates or slave traders. The criminal networks knew, Velkara said suddenly. I checked the underground communication channels. The criminal cartels warn each other about humans. They tell everyone to leave human settlements alone. They learned through hard experience. A recorded message started playing. It had been intercepted from a pirate frequency. A rough voice spoke in urgent tones. Listen to me. Whatever you do, do not touch the human colonies. Yes, they look weak. No, they are not. I lost my entire crew to 3 human cargo pilots. Just 3. They turned a simple cargo ship into a floating weapons platform in under an hour. They used mining lasers, cargo containers, even the ship's own fuel as weapons. Just leave the humans alone. The council chamber filled with nervous talking. Species that had thought humans were unimportant were suddenly reconsidering everything they believed. What do you recommend we do? Elder Korvoth asked Xyloth directly. Give them full diplomatic status immediately. The commander replied without hesitation. Stop viewing them as a minor colony species. Start treating them as potential allies, or at minimum as neighbors you should never antagonize. What about Captain Murphy himself? Leave him alone, Xyloth said firmly. He went back to his farm. He wants peace. Give him that peace. He earned it. What if the Creventhi Empire demands justice? What if they want punishment for the facilities he destroyed? For the soldiers he defeated? Xyloth's mandibles clicked in something like bitter amusement. Then the Empire can send more soldiers and watch them fail too, or we can accept that we made a mistake. We violated their territory. We attacked their people, and we received a proportional response. Actually, we received a merciful response. Murphy could have killed hundreds of our soldiers. He chose not to. That shows more restraint than we showed him. Thexmar spoke up again. You respect him. This human who humiliated your forces and made fools of your empire. I respect him greatly, Xyloth corrected. He showed mercy when he could have shown none. He protected the weak when he could have escaped alone. He fought with honor even though we showed him no honor at all. Yes, Counselor. I respect Jack Murphy more than I respect many members of this council. The chamber went very quiet at that statement. It was a bold thing to say, maybe even an insulting thing, but no one argued with him. Because deep down they all knew he was right. Elder Korvoth made his decision. The council will issue an official apology to the Kepler 442b colony. We will provide compensation for the damage and harm caused. The Creventhi Empire will withdraw all claims on human territory immediately. All treaties with Earth will be renegotiated to reflect their proper status, and humanity will be reclassified in our databases. What classification should we use? Velkara asked. The elder looked at the frozen image on the display. It showed Jack Murphy standing calmly in the middle of a room full of unconscious guards. Just one man, one human, who had defeated 200 trained soldiers through skill, intelligence, and sheer determination. Class A, the elder said clearly. Dangerous when provoked. Approach with respect and caution. Recommend peaceful relations. Do not threaten. Do not attack. Do not underestimate. The classification was entered into the Galactic database. Within hours, it would spread to every civilized world in known space. Every species would learn the lesson that the Creventhi had learned the hard way. Humans were not weak. They were not primitive. They were not easy targets. They were survivors who had climbed their way up from being prey animals on their home world to masters of their own planet. They were a species that had faced extinction multiple times in their history and had refused to die. They were teachers and artists and farmers and merchants. But when threatened, they became something else entirely. They became protectors. They became warriors. They became unstoppable forces of determination and courage. And they would never ever surrender their homes or their families. The galaxy had been warned. 6 months passed quietly. The Galactic Council sent their apology with compensation money, new technology, and a treaty that guaranteed human colony independence. Earth's government was surprised by the sudden change in how aliens treated them, but they accepted the new diplomatic status happily. Jack Murphy was offered many things: medals for his bravery, promotions to higher ranks, a return to active military duty with full honors. He said no to everything. He just wanted to go back to his farm. On a cool evening, he sat on his porch with Lisa, watching their wheat fields move in the gentle wind. The farm had been repaired even better than before thanks to the money the council had sent. Life had returned to its peaceful rhythm, the way Jack wanted it. A vehicle appeared on the dirt road coming toward the farm. Jack's hand did not move toward any weapon, but Lisa felt him become alert. Old instincts always there under the surface, never fully asleep. Commander Xyloth got out of the vehicle. He was alone and carried no weapons. He walked slowly toward the porch, showing respect. "Captain Murphy," the Creventhi said in careful, polite words. "Just Jack," he replied. "What can I do for you, Commander?" "I came to apologize personally. What my empire did to you and your people was wrong. Completely wrong." Jack nodded slowly. "I accept your apology. Would you like some coffee?" Xyloth's translator took a moment to understand the offer. Coffee was a human drink. "I would be honored." They sat on the porch together, an unusual pair, a human farmer and an alien commander who had been enemies. Lisa brought out 3 cups, and for a while they all drank in comfortable silence. "Sometimes silence says more than words." "You are not what I expected," Xyloth finally said. "What did you expect?" Jack asked. "A monster, a killer, someone who enjoyed hurting others, someone who loved violence." Jack shook his head. "I am a man who wanted to farm wheat in peace. Your people forced me to remember skills I had hoped to forget. Do you regret what you did?" Jack thought carefully before answering. "I regret that it was necessary. I do not regret protecting my people. I would do it again tomorrow if I had to." Xyloth made clicking sounds that his species used when thinking deeply. "The Council asked me to assess human military capabilities. To determine if Earth could be defeated in war, I told them it would be impossible." "You are probably right," Jack agreed calmly, "but you will never have to find out. We do not want war. We want to grow food, build homes, raise children, live in peace. But you can fight when necessary." "Every human can fight when they must," Jack said. "It is in our nature, Commander. We are persistence hunters. For tens of thousands of years we survived by outlasting everything that tried to kill us. Predators that were faster, stronger, more dangerous. We tracked them. We adapted. We never gave up. Those instincts do not disappear just because we farm now instead of hunt." Lisa spoke for the first time. He did not want to be a soldier again, but he would become one again in a moment if someone threatened our home. Any human would. "All humans have this capability?" Xyloth asked, though it was not really a question. He already knew the answer. "Most of us," Jack confirmed. "We protect our own. It is both our greatest strength and our biggest weakness. We will die for family. We will fight impossible odds for friends. We will never abandon someone who needs help." Xyloth stood up to leave. His visit was complete. "I understand now why the pirates and criminals warn each other about humans. You are not aggressive by nature, but you are unbreakable when defending something you love." "We are just stubborn," Jack said with a small smile. "We do not know when to quit. It has kept us alive this long." After Xyloth left, Jack and Lisa sat together as darkness came. The stars began appearing in the sky, bright and clear. Somewhere in the town, Danny Pierce was helping other families rebuild. Henderson at the communications station was teaching defensive strategies to anyone who wanted to learn, just in case trouble came again. The human settlement had changed. Not in fear, but in quiet confidence. They knew they could defend themselves now if they needed to. "Do you think the aliens will leave us alone now?" Lisa asked softly. "For a while," Jack replied honestly. "Until the next species forgets the lesson. Until someone new decides to test us. And when that happens," Jack squeezed her hand gently, "then we will remind them, as many times as it takes, because this is our home. Nobody takes our home from us." Above them, the stars filled the alien sky with light. Among those stars, information was spreading through trade routes and diplomatic channels. The humans were not to be bothered. They wanted peace, but they demanded respect. They were farmers and teachers, doctors and engineers. But underneath all of that, they were survivors. They were a species that had clawed their way to the stars through pure determination, courage, and an absolute refusal to give up. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. A lesson taught by one old veteran who just wanted to grow wheat and watch the sunset with his wife. One man who had reminded the universe of something it had forgotten. Humanity was here to stay. They would build their farms and their towns. They would raise their children and live peaceful lives. They would trade and talk and make friends with alien species. But if anyone threatened them, if anyone tried to take what was theirs, they would fight. And when humans fought, they did not stop until the threat was gone. Jack took a sip of his coffee and looked out at his fields. Tomorrow he would wake up early and check the irrigation system. He would repair the fence on the north field. He would do all the normal things that farmers do. Because that was who he was now. A farmer, a husband, a member of a peaceful community. But if trouble came again, if his neighbors needed help, if his family was threatened, then Jack Murphy would put down his tools and pick up whatever weapons were necessary. Not because he wanted to, but because that was what humans did. They protected each other. Always. The Craventhi had learned that lesson. The Galactic Council had learned it. And now, slowly every species in known space was learning it too. The peaceful farmers from Earth were not weak. They were not helpless. They were not easy prey, they were human. And that meant something now. It meant respect. It meant caution. It meant never, ever making the mistake of thinking that peace meant weakness. Jack finished his coffee as the last light faded from the sky. Tomorrow would be a good day for farming. And that was exactly how he wanted it. Peace was what he had fought for his whole military career. Peace was what he had earned. Peace was what he would protect with everything he had. Because Jack Murphy, like all humans, understood a simple truth. Peace was not given. It was not guaranteed. It was built and maintained and defended. And sometimes defending peace required the skills of war. The universe had forgotten that. Jack had reminded them, and they would not forget again.